So I think looking back probably the past 10, 15, 20 years, I mean, I think the thing I've learned along the way is just to be, open and responsive and open to people and open to new ideas and things like that. I think I had very early on very preconceived notions of what things should be, right? It's like the whole thing of like, how to should on people. Like you should do this, you should do that. And it's like you want to, I think giving advice to somebody else, I definitely recommend being open and open to new ideas, open to new experiences. Let other people be themselves, but be able to find that common bond together to be able to move your company or idea forward.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7 and 8 figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Noman Ahmad. And Noman started out his journey growing up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Was the son of a migrant family and grew up supposed to be a doctor, and did go to the pre-med or got a pre-med degree with the electrical engineering option, and decided that becoming a doctor wasn't necessarily for him, but continued on with the engineering degree. Then went off to work with Seagate for a while, and then Adobe Labs. Moved over to the business side of things for a bit of time, and then started his own business with wearables for athlete monitoring. That business got hit with ransomware and took the business down, and is now on to the second business, which he'll share a little bit more about. So, with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, Noman.
Great, Devin. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. It's exciting to be here with you, and really appreciate the opportunity to talk.
Absolutely excited to have you on. So I just gave a quick walkthrough to a much longer journey, but why don't we rewind and unpack that a little bit and tell us a little bit about how your journey got started growing up in Tulsa.
So my dad was in the oil business, and so we moved to a small town in Oklahoma called Bartlesville, Oklahoma. So it was the original location for Phillips Petroleum, and it was like only probably about 50,000 strong in that little tiny town. And but from there we decided we were probably one of the very few South Asian families in the community, and ended up learning a lot, experiencing a lot, and then went to the bigger city in Tulsa from there.
Nice. So you get into Tulsa, and so you grew up, and you mentioned you did grew up in a migrant family, and kind of the expectation was is that you're gonna to go off and be a doctor. So you went off to college initially with that expectation, or heading in that direction. Is that right?
That's correct. That was, being a son of a South Asian immigrant family, your expectation is you got to be a doctor. And if you're nothing less than that, you're pretty much a family disappointment. And that's what I ended up being. I did go off and I did go through all the prerequisites of, becoming a doctor, but did an engineering degree along with it. But decided engineering was definitely going to be the way for me, and became a family disappointment that I couldn't be a doctor, but that's okay. You live and learn. You live with these expectations being disappointed.
Well, got to go to your own path and do what you enjoy and what excites you. So you go down, you start down the pre-med, disappoint the family, decide engineering, which is still a great field and shouldn't be that much of a disappointment, but nonetheless go down that route. And I think as you're coming out of college and that, you started to work at Seagate. Is that right?
Yeah, so I started working at Seagate. This is probably right before the whole Y2K stuff. So like the disk drive industry was booming along with everything else in the IT sector. And so it was a great time to be a part of a part of that business at Seagate. From there, it started off in Oklahoma City, Seagate, but then after the crash of the .com era, I had to end up moving. They moved me out to a couple of different places in Minneapolis as well as in Colorado. And then from there, I got pulled into the business side, and it was very interesting. At that point, I'd spent enough time in engineering and kind of thought, you know what, this is pretty interesting. I always figured I'd do the management side, but when I got into business, it was like really kind of intrigued me how business problems seem to be much bigger and more challenging with a lot less information and data. So it was definitely an area that I became very passionate about.
Hmm. So now you kind of get pulled into that business side, and then you did that. Or how long or were you there? Or how long did you focus on that?
So I helped grow Seagate's consumer business disk drive. So this is the stuff that you saw in Best Buy or in early stages of Amazon, or in the retail sector all over the place. So I helped grow that business with them. There's a merry band of probably about 10 or 15 people of us. So very much a startup environment. So we grew it to a multi-billion-dollar business unit from, for a couple $1 million to 100 to almost, I think a $1.5 billion business unit when I left.
Hmm. So now
So it
you
was
get in, so you get into that and have a pretty good amount of growth and success. Now, what made you or kind of switch from there to going into your own business, or to doing getting into the wearables with the athlete monitoring?
So yeah, I was always passionate about sports. Growing up in Oklahoma, if you didn't play football or any kind of sports, you're pretty much not, you were pretty much regulated to come into California. Um, but with that said, though, I kind of want to merge my passions of technology and sports, and that's where like it was always this passion of mine to kind of figure out a data-driven approach to help athletes be able to develop themselves and be able to use technology like wearable sensors that we've been using in our engineering laboratories to be able to track athletes and their performance. So that's something that we were able to do. And so it was a confluence of events. Being on the business side at a big company, growing that from a very small part of the business to a very large part of business, and having this underlying passion really said, hey, I wanted to go be an entrepreneur myself and go learn and jump off into the deep end of the pool and figure it out. So that's what really drove me.
So you jump off to the deep end of the pool, and give us an idea what kind of, or when did this occur? When did you make that leap?
So this was probably early 2010s. So I had a life event happen that really sort of pushed me over the edge and said, you know what, life's too dang short. You got to go for it. And it always been eating at me. So I ended up doing it, and we struggled along the way, but we raised some capital from a bunch of angel investors that we met along. I was really grateful for the opportunity to have those people invest in us. And then once the ransomware hit, that was a complete disappointment. That was actually probably one of the lowest points of my life at that point. Like it was
Now,
not only.
without putting or rubbing salt in the wound, so to speak, walk us through kind of what happened, or because I think you said that kind of led to the end of that business, or kind of the downfall of it. So, kind of without rubbing too much salt in the wound, kind of walk us through a little bit of what happened.
Yeah, so we've been working with a number of different high school and colleges across the country. So we had signed up Cornell, we had signed up in the Bay Area here, Menlo College, Oakland High School, De La Salle, one of the biggest football programs and high school football programs in the country. And we were collecting a lot of data on athletes, kind of help them manage information. Then there was we were using MongoDB at the time on Amazon Web Services, and there was a back door that we left open, and it got entered by a ransomware. They stole our data, asked for Bitcoin to get the data back. We paid probably, since we didn't have redundancies or backups ourselves, we ended up paying the ransom. It wasn't that much. It was probably about $300 worth of ransomware in Bitcoin at that time. And but they never gave us our data back. They never gave us the key to unlock it. So at that point, the team got really disgruntled. All the clients we were working with, they were like, their arms are up in the air. It's like, where's our information? Like, you guys lost it. We were tracking all these athletes. We were putting all this information in your system, and it's gone. And at that point, we had a decision to make, whether it was to try to recover, and try to barrel forward, or shut things down. We decided to shut things down because it was just a confluence. We were trying to raise money at the same time, and just a confluence of events. We just couldn't recover at that point.
Now, what you say that confluence, and then we'll move on to the happier note, or the next phase. But how did you kind of walk through? Because I think, whether it's maybe not everybody gets a ransomware, but you hit those points where, hey, do we pivot, evolve, rebuild, or do we need to just simply take our lumps, move on to the next thing, and pursue something differently? So how did you kind of go about making that decision as to which path was right for you guys, or for you?
Yeah, so I was talking to my co-founder at the time. I mean, unfortunately, he had been living off ramen noodles for way too long, and he had other opportunities to go on to other startups and get paid. So he was like, okay, I can help you through a certain amount, but what I came to the realization was that, one, like, in order for us to try to recover, we needed to have a full-time team. Two is, we really needed the customers back in order to fundraise again, to be able to get the capital, get the team back together. And but then the customers were really mad at us too. So in order to kind of get those top three things to go, we really need capital in the company. But because of the lack of customers and the upset customers, we couldn't do it at that point. So we thought long and hard about pivoting. Everything that we thought about in pivoting in this space, we weren't really super passionate about. We didn't want to just go do a lot of things that were sort of like tangential to what our initial mission was. And so at that point, we're just like, okay, it was like, okay, either pivot and try to survive in something that we weren't super passionate about, or just go ahead and shut down and just say, apologize to everyone that was involved. And we decided to go down that path instead.
So now you do that, and I'm sure it was less than fun and a bit of a painful path, but nonetheless, sounds like the best of a bad option, so to speak. And so now you go down that path, you shut things down, you decide, okay, we'll move on to something else. Now, how did you figure out kind of what that next thing is going to be? Was it going to be, hey, I'll go back to the corporate world and I'll make a go of that, or I've got an idea of something else I want to pursue, or kind of how did you decide what that next step would be for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think at that point, I did dabble a little bit in the corporate environment at LG Electronics. We just consulting with their startup and innovations team. However, I've just felt at that point I was broken for big companies, and just all the stuff that you had to put up with in big companies, and all the like the career paths, and trying to making sure that you're working with the right person, all the office politics and everything. I don't think I was designed for that. I was designed more for kind of making more personal impact, and being more impactful for the end customer, whether that was in a B2B space or B2C space. And that's where I started consulting with some startups. I took on CMO roles, VP of marketing roles for a couple of different companies, and it was still like something I really enjoyed, and really thought I was like, this is something I really like to do. And that's why I started my agency. which we offer fractional CMO roles for companies, as well as building out some of their digital platforms.
So now, how did you decide to get into the agency model, or kind of what pushed you in that direction? Do you just naturally like the creative nature and building things and doing that, or kind of had the background and experience, or what put you in that direction?
Well, it was definitely the kind of what I liked is the creative building and work. That's what was really exciting and interesting, as well as working with smaller companies, and knowing that I could dabble in a lot of different types of ideas and opportunities. So like for instance, in the automotive space or in the B2B SaaS space, or a number of different areas. That's like super interesting. I know it's hard for a lot of people, it's hard to context switch, but for me, I see that as opportunity to kind of like expand my skill sets and learn and kind of adapt learning from different areas into work.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's probably a little bit of what I love about intellectual properties. Get to work with a lot of different startups and small businesses, get to see a lot of cool ideas and innovations and things going. And then you also get to run your own business alongside that. So it sounds like it was a great setup. So when did you start the agency? Kind of catch us up. How long has it been in business? Where are things at? Is it taking off like a rocket ship and money's raining down from the sky, or you're teetering on the verge of bankruptcy, or somewhere in between? Kind of walk us through where things at today.
Well, I mean, it's so we've been at it probably about a year and a half now, full time into this thing. Actually, more of a year. Actually, I think back on it. It just feels longer, I guess, when you're running your own shop. It's just like things just it just seems like time is a lot longer than it really is. But so we're doing well. We're getting a lot of clients. As in the case of many things, you always are either fast or famine when it comes, or feast or famine when it comes to an agency model. But it is definitely a very rewarding space. We're doing well. We got not a lot of great clients on board, and we continue to grow and work and partner with with companies like yourself to be able to help us continue to grow.
Awesome. Well, sounds like it's been a good path. Now, just give us an idea. I skipped over it a bit. How long have you guys been an agency? How long you've been out there, and kind of what is that, or what's that trajectory?
Yeah, so right, the agency I started about 2 years ago, and I've been at it full time for about a year since I had left the last startup that I was a part of. So, but the trajectory is really good. We're on pace right now to get for 120, almost 100% growth from last year to this year, and I'm looking to continue that accelerated growth paths for next year. So looking, so we see ourselves like partnering and doing some more sophisticated lead gen to be able to help us grow. But at the end of the day, it's really about helping the companies and helping them succeed and win and create really exciting digital platforms for them, like websites and e-commerce and others.
Sounds like an exciting path to be on, and a lot yet to come. So that's awesome. So, well, now as we start to wrap towards the end of the episode, I always like to wrap up each episode with the same two questions. So we'll go ahead and jump to those now. So the first question I'd like to ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made? What'd you learn from it?
Oh gosh, I think the worst business decision I ever made was um well, I think early on in my days at Sports Lab, that was the first sports tech company I did, was really choosing the right partners to work with. I think I was very let's just say I was very novice when it came to trying to figure out who I worked with. I chose a lot of friends rather than trying to chose the right partners. And so I was very naive in like thinking what a right partner needed to be. So once I had a better debrief and understanding of who I wanted to be a partner with, that has made my journey in other startups and even my current agency much better.
Oh, sounds like it was a good mistake to learn from, and that's one that's easy to make. When you get into hiring, a lot of times, the people you bring on board are the ones that you have a relationship with, that you trust, that are, that are those type of individuals, and that can work out well. But by the same token, it doesn't always make for the perfect hiring, or the ones that are going to be the best fit for the business. And so definitely an easy mistake to make, but a great one to learn from.
Yep.
Second question now that I like to ask is, so now if you're talking to someone that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one piece of advice you give them?
So I think looking back probably the past 10, 15, 20 years, I mean, I think the thing I've learned along the way is just to be, open and responsive and open to people and open to new ideas and things like that. I think I had very early on very preconceived notions of what things should be, right? It's like the whole thing of like, you had a should on people, like you should do this, you should do that. And it's like you want to, I think giving advice to somebody else, I definitely recommend being open and open to new ideas, open to new experiences. Let other people be themselves, but be able to find that common bond together to be able to move your company or idea forward. Don't put people in a box and an idea that you this preconceived notion or a pedestal that you think that they should be on. Let them be who they are.
No, I think that's definitely a great piece of advice and a great takeaway. Now, as we do wrap up the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
Gotcha. Hey, I'd love to have all of that. So my website is mochadesigns.co. Unfortunately, we couldn't get .com. Mocha is a very popular URL and drink. And so yeah, feel free to reach out to me on there. My email address is Noman at mochadesigns.co.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, support a great business, and if nothing else, make a new best friend. So with that, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you that are listeners that are out there, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. Just go to inventiveguest.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners. Make sure to click share, subscribe, leave us a review. Helps us to reach even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey to success. And on that note, if along your journey you ever need help with patents or trademarks or anything else with your startup, your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Well, thank you again, Noman, for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you, Devin. I really appreciate the opportunity.